Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Sri Gyan Manjri Vidyapith for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of social science. Students, this is the 11th lecture in process for the revision of the complete subject of social science. So far we have taken 10 revision lectures in which we have completed quite a lot of the syllabus. Going ahead with today's lecture, today we are going to revise two chapters, that is chapter number 8 and chapter number 11. Both these chapters are from geography. Now, let us start with chapter number 8. Now, in chapter number 8, let us see the bifurcation of marks that are allotted from the 80 marks paper. For the 80 marks paper, chapter number 8, there will be two objectives, that means 2 marks. There will be one question of 2 marks, that is 2 marks, and one map question of 1 mark. We are having a total of 5 marks over here. So this chapter, it has a weightage of 5 marks. So we are going to start learn and study accordingly. Now this chapter has uh, quite a lot of questions which are quite short in length, even if it is we know for 2 marks we usually write 4 to 5 lines, but the lines may extend to say 5 or 6 lines, or it can extend to 7 lines. Then also it is quite short because most of the sentences they are uh, hardly of half a line, right? So we are going to discuss main thing is most important is it is 2 mark question that we are written, so we don't have to prepare 3 marks and 4 marks. So we will split up this complete chapter in such a way that we are well aware of what we have to learn, what we do not have to learn. At the same time, there are two objectives, so it is not that we are not leaving out anything from this particular chapter. And very important to remember is the 1 mark that we get in the map work. Map work will be completely related with the soil types that are found in India. Apart from that, there are no other questions that can be generated for map work. So let us go ahead with today's chapter. We'll see which of the questions that are given to you in the book, they are material that is given to you, they carry the weightage of 2 marks or not. So we come to the very first question, which is a 2 mark question, because we have to write two things. First is define resources, or do you understand by resources, right? Now there are thousands of resources in the nature, that is what the answer is, right? Because there are 2 points, you can write either one. Yes, you don't write both, so it has only 1 point, so it cannot be considered as a 2 mark question. Then also you have to remember the definition, it can be a 1 line. Yes, that is a defined resource, it's a 1 line answer, right? So whatever, there are thousands of elements, but we cannot call all of them. Now these elements can be classified as, now we start our answer from here, elements can be called resources only if they are utilized by men through his special knowledge and expertise, then that only can be called a resource. So it is hardly a 2 mark question, but it is important to note down this because this is 1 liner. Next, uses of resources, that is quite a long question, right? That is 3 mark question, but it has only 4 or 5 points, so it can be considered as a 2 mark question. So please star mark that question. Describe the various resources of the various uses of resources. Now first one is resources as food, then various food resources of man, they are satisfied by various resources. Fruits, they grow naturally, various crops are obtained through agriculture, milk and its milk products we get it from animals, domestic animals. Then other aquatic animals also we catch, for example fish also we get it from rivers, lakes, sea, etc. Honey is prepared by the honeybees, etc. So lots of items, they are called as food items. So resources, food as resources. Next is resources as a source of raw material. For example, from the forest we take wood, that is a raw material for furniture industry as well as paper industry, cardboard industry. All these industries are dependent on forest. We have agro products. For example, we produce wheat in the field, but then we make flour out of it, and flour is used as a raw product for raw material for producing biscuits. So in that way, the resources as a resource for raw material. Next is resources as energy resource. We know we use lots of natural resources that are available with us. For example, coal, petroleum, natural gas, uranium. These are naturally available minerals which we use for making energy, right? Electricity out of that. So that is a 2-mark question. Now, next is give the classification of the resources on the basis of ownership, reavailability, and on the basis of distribution center. Now, a chart is given to you. Please do not remember based on the chart, but that chart enables you to remember it easily. So please study the chart properly. And as far as writing is concerned, we have to write in paragraph form, right? So you can write it in this way: ownership details, examples. Okay, on the basis of ownership. What is on the basis of an ownership? It can be individual resource. Yes, it can be on the basis of ownership. It can be available on the availability of reavailability, then on the basis of distribution area. Next, classes. First, we classify them on the basis of ownership. That can be individual resource, it can be a national resource, or it can be a global resource. Now we have to give in detail. Now this chart is given to you over here, right? But this can be written in paragraph form, right? So these are 3 points only. Yes, individual resource, national resource, and global resource. So you easily, this question we have to write it in paragraph form, then 3 points are there. That will fetch you 2 marks. So this is a question of 2 marks. What is the question? Classify resources on the basis of the distribution. We know individual resource, it will be owned by individual, right? Owned by individual or a family or a group. What are the examples? Land, hair, building, hair, they are individual resources. Now what are national resources? Owned by a country or region. For example, army is owned by the government, so that means it belongs to the nation. Then international trade, internation trade, that means within one state to another, that is owned by a particular state, it does business with other state, then that is called national resource. What are global resource? All physical and non-physical. For example, common ownership of all the nations. For example, air, it does not belong to anyone, right? Rain, it does not belong to anyone, right? So this way there are many resources which are of global resources. So this is a 2-mark question. Then classify resources based on their reavailability or define according to their renewability or non-renewability. This is a 2-mark question because it has exactly 4 to 5 points. Now what are they? Some resources, renewable resources. What are renewable resources? Which we can renew again and again. So some resources reproduce them as per the usage of time during specified. This is the definition, right? Now which are the examples? For example, solar insolation, the solar power that we get. Yes, शाम को बंद हो जाएगा, सुबह चालू हो जाएगा. So after a period of time it renews again. Same way, wind, birds, animals, animal, yes, they are renewable. Why? Because they reproduce. But wind थोड़ी देर आती है, थोड़ी देर बंद हो जाती है, right? Then we can generate electricity with the help of sun, wind. These are all, and some of them they are natural, some of them are bioresources, but they are renewable. Then they are called renewable resources. What are non-renewable resources? Once they are exhausted, once they are complete, once they are over, finished, we cannot regenerate them. For example, mineral oil, coal, natural gas, petroleum, it has been made by nature. It is available to us, but in a limited quantity. Once that quantity is over, we cannot make it. Yes, nature can make it, but then it will take millions of years to make it. So that is just next to impossible right now. So they are called non-renewable one. So it's a 2-mark question. Planning and conservation is quite a long question. Yes, it does not qualify as a 2-mark question. Yes, we need to plan ourselves so that we can use it today, and planning, conservation, all that. So depending upon the quantity that you have, You basically plan it, what you have spent, and what you have for today, what you have for future. That is the meaning. Write the steps to conserve resources and resource planning. That is quite a long question, cannot be asked for 2 marks. Now we have soil formation. Now soil formation has two things. One is we have to define soil, and second is formation of soil. Now as far as whole of the question is concerned, it is not a 2 mark question because that is quite long. But if it is broken up into parts, what is soil and how is soil formed, then it can be a 2 mark question. For example, define soil. The parts of the surface of the earth wherein the vegetation grow, only that part is called soil. Now what is soil? Soil is a thin layer. Soil is a thin layer Soil is a thin layer composed of various elements on the surface of the earth uh, that we know as soil. Soil is also another definition is soil is a natural mixture of minerals and biotic elements which have the capacity to grow and develop vegetation. Now whole of this has 3 points, right? So what is soil, we have explained in different ways. So that is a 2 mark question. Now what is the next 2 mark question? Soil formation. How is soil formed? The parental rocks, they lie below the soil. Soil is formed when those parental rocks, they come exposed and they are denuded or break up, or happens because of wind and rain or water and air. Natural factors like temperature, climate, vegetation, topography, uh, time, etc., help in weathering away and turning that big piece of rock into smaller parts, and ultimately whole of the rock is eroded, and that is how soil is formed. Right? Now soil is formed after the denudation. A very thin layer of the soil is available of the rocks. Now earlier it was a rock, now a very thin layer of soil is available. Right? Humus. When does soil happen? Along with the abiotic things. Biotic things also mix up, then it becomes a soil, right? You can't grow a plant out of a rock. You need that biotic elements also. Which are they? Humus that is formed due to the disintegration or the decay of vegetation is then getting mixed with the abiotic factor, that is that thin layer of the denudation of the rock. These biotic elements play a very important role in development of vegetation. All these form a layer over the crust which we call soil. This is how soil is formed. So soils are classified on the basis of their color, climate, physical, parental rock structure, humor, etc. Even if you don't write this last line, then up till here you have 5 points, and that will fetch you 2 marks. Now types of soil. Now types of soil, this is a 2 mark question. It has only 3 points, but then also qualifies as a, you have to tell how is soil classified. So soil is classified on the basis of their color, climate, parental rocks, structure, humus, etc. Recently Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR, we have learnt it in other chapter also, has divided the soil types into 8. Which are they? You have to give a list in paragraph form. Yes, or you can make a simple list like this, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, like that. 8 names you have to write. That is the soil types: alluvial soil, red soil, black soil, laterite soil, desert soil, mountain soil, forest soil, and marshy or peaty soil. Yes, you write this much, you get 2 marks. Now write a short note on alluvial soil, that is 2 marks. Now what is alluvial soil? uh, The formation of alluvial soil is due to the alluvial deposition from the rivers. The rivers come down from the mountain, they bring silt with them and deposit on the side of the banks. So there is more proportion, what is in them, what is not in them. That is very important when you write this short note. What is more in this? Potash, phosphoric acid, and limestone in this soil. And what is less? Nitrogen and humus is absent. This type of soil is spread over complete India. 43% of the land this type of soil is spread over. right? Now, where is it usually found? In the northern plain of Brahmaputra Valley, plus whole of that Gangetic Valley, whole of that. Then the different rivers of south, delta, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, the four important rivers of the south. Yes, what can you grow? If pulses are grown in this soil, nitrogen content can be stabilized because nitrogen is absent, right? So if you grow pulses, nitrogen content will be added. Otherwise, which crops can be taken? Wheat, paddy, sugarcane, jute, cotton, maize, oilseeds, etc. Lots and lots of crops can be taken because the soil fertility is good. Next we come to red soil. Red soil, again 2 marks. The soil is red in color due to presence of iron, that is ferric oxide, and it becomes yellow as we go down because the soil which is quite below does not get exposure to air and water. That means iron will not rust and will not form ferric oxide. Lime, gravel and carbonate are not found in this soil. So the crops which require them will not grow. There is a deficiency of lime. That means these things are less available but less. Which are they? Lime, magnesium, phosphate, nitrogen and potassium. This soil are there. 19% of the total land in India is laterite soil. It is spread from Tamil Nadu in peninsular area, then from Tamil Nadu to Bundelkhand, that is approx Jhansi area in the north, and from Rajmahal Hills in the east. Rajmahal means beyond Bangladesh. Yes, so from there it is spread up to Kutch in the west. So quite a parts in small bits and chunks it's available. Such soil is found in some parts of Rajasthan also. Which crops can grow? Millet, cotton, wheat, jowar, linseed, groundnut, potato. These are the crops that you can take from laterite soil. Now we have a short note on black soil or rugged soil. Right now this is a 3 mark question, but still can be asked in 2 marks. All the soil types can be asked for 2 marks. Whether the question has 5 or 6 or 7 points, then also you need to write it. This soil was formed due to the spreading of the Deccan lava. Lava rocks and climate play a very important role in formation of this soil. If you don't write this, okay. There is more proportion. What is there? You should write. What is deficient? That you write. And what crops can grow. So maximum 4 or 5 points can easily be generated. There is more proportion of what? Iron, lime, calcium, potash, aluminum, magnesium carbonates. These are found in this type of soil. So what is? It's quite a fertile land. So soil has capacity to retain water also. Whenever moisture dries up, they develop fissures, that is crack. If you don't write right, that's okay. What are the crops? Such crop is found entire in Maharashtra, Western Madhya Pradesh, Andhra, some parts of Karnataka. In Gujarat, we find at few places Surat, Bharuch, Narmada, etc. Which are the crops that can be taken? Cotton, linseed, mustard, groundnut, tobacco, wood. So these are quite, you can see it's quite a fertile soil. Yes, and you can take category. As this crop is more suitable for cotton, this is also known as black cotton soil. Now we come to the next one, that is laterite soil. Right now, what is laterite soil? Name laterite is derived from later, which means a brick. Yes, so laterite, brickish colored. So red color due to the presence of iron oxide. When this soil becomes wet, it becomes smooth like butter, but when it dries up, it becomes very hard because it cannot retain moisture. It is formed due to the change of dry and moist climate and due to the preservation of silica based material. Silica is leached due to rain, leached, taken away. The soil has developed in the areas of high peninsula plateaus of India like Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Orissa, etc. What are the crops can be taken? It has high amount of iron, potassium, aluminum, so you can take crops in little bit. Cotton, paddy, ragi, sugarcane, tea, coffee, cashew, etc. can be grown, but you have to use fertilizers. Next soil type we come to is explain desert soil. Now desert soil, we know it is sandy and it is not fertile. It contains more amount of dissolved salts, so you can not have much agriculture over there. This type of soil is seen in the climate which is arid or dry or semi-arid. Rajasthan, Haryana, southern Punjab, they have this type of soil. Nothing much can grow. In Gujarat also, we find that in Kutch and some parts of Saurashtra with irrigation facilities. If you have irrigation facilities, crops like millet and jowar can be cultivated in this type of soil. The next soil is the mountain soil. It is found from at the altitude about 2700 to 3000. So only 300 meters you find this soil. This layer, its layer is very thin and it is not developed very much because these are the areas where quite a lot of snow falls, right? So the soil is found in Assam, Darjeeling, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Kashmir, where lots of snow falls, and that is why it remains underdeveloped. In Himalayas, the soil is found at a general altitude in the region of pine and chit trees. Usually it is good for big trees to grow, for it's not that much good for crop. The soil develops in humid areas due to accumulation of biotic elements. There is an excess of biotic elements and minerals in such soil, but that shows inefficiency in potash and phosphate. So, such soil is found in, this is forest soil that we are talking about. So, this type of soil is found in Odisha, West Bengal, coastal Tamil Nadu, central area, North Bihar, etc. Most of these areas, forest soil. Due to during rainy season, the land gets underwater because there is no way the water can go out. And when the water recedes, paddy can be grown in it. The soil has limited extent. This is marshy land that we are talking about. Yes. Now, this map is very, very important, right? Now, one mark map question is there and only this map will be asked. Yes, only and only this map will be asked. If you want it in color, then this the same thing is available in color if you can see this properly, right? Both the ways I have done it. Now, this is basically the way that we need to put it on the map. Why? Now, suppose this is Gujarat that we are talking about, right? This is Gujarat that we are talking about. This is Gujarat that we are talking about. It is not at small scale, it's just a hand-drawn one, right? You need to show black soil, right? Now, black soil is available all over here, right? So you mark this region and then you shade it properly, because what will be the question? The question is mark one region having black soil. Suppose you take Gujarat, because in the map there is no other place where you have to show any parts of Gujarat, so you pick Gujarat. Yes, so what do you do? In the Bay of Bengal, you have enough space to make a legend. Then you make a small box over here, you show the design over there, whatever design you do over here, right? That usually these are the design, either is the slanting line, other the straight line, because you just have to show four things on the map, and out of that two will be particular places, right? So you don't have much designs to do. You can pick out any design, common design like this, and write over here black soil. But legend is necessary. Whatever you mark as a symbol over here, you write black soil, the same thing you show over here, and you make similar design. Because in this chapter you will have to mark a region, right, having a particular soil type, and it will be available in quite a big space. Yes, so your map will be a political map, and it will be quite easy, yes, to select in which state, because you have seen this map, you have studied this map, and it becomes very easy for you to mark out that particular. For example, we know that in Rajasthan it is that sandy desertic soil. Yes, you can see over here, because so many areas are marked with different design, that is why Rajasthan, that desert area, is left blank, and that same thing is given over here, arid soil, that is desertic soil. But if we have to mark it, there are lots of designs available. See, this is a standing line, this is a dotted one, this is a dash, right? So in this way we can pick up any design. Rajasthan area where desertic area is there, you outline that, right, and then mark it with that design and put it a legend over here. You can see Bay of Bengal, it gives us lots of space to make a legend. Write legend on the top, make a square box. Yes, whatever design you have taken, you write that, draw that small design over here, write desertic soil or arid soil, whatever, right? So in this way map work, we should not be losing any marks. Only thing is, you should remember which type of soil is available in which part of the country, especially in which states, right? If you are clear with that, you can easily get or score marks. Again, this is in color so that you know it can be so that colors might not be available to you, yes, on the video, but then also it's available in the material that has been supplied to you. Now we come to the next important question: erosion of soil. Yes, soil with the help of wind and water continuously gets eroded, and that is not good for the crops. Yes. Now, what is erosion? Erosion means the transportation of land particles, soil particles that are carried away because of heavy rain or by strong winds, and because of that agricultural production decrease, because land is where that crop grow, and if that land particles go away, the production will decrease, right? In other words, control the grazing activity on the land. How to do it? Right now, in other words, faster transportation of the particles of the upper layer of the soil is taken away by the natural forces. It takes lots of years to make the upper layer, and that is easily eroded by them. So we should try to stop it, not allow the natural forces to take away the topsoil. So there comes our next question: state the measures to prevent soil erosion. Control. First thing is control the grazing activity on the ground, on the land, so that the cattle don't eat away all the grass that is growing over here. Grass roots help the soil to be over there. Wind or rain will not be able to take away the soil that is grasped by the roots. Yes. Next is plantation should be carried out in contour method in slopy regions, so that the air blowing from there or the water flowing down the slope can be stopped, and the soil is gripped by the roots of these trees. And so contour method, if we do the harvest agriculture, then it stops it. Plant trees in fallow land. Fallow land is that type of land which where we are not rightly taking any agriculture products, right? When we are not taking any, but it's fertile, but right now we are just left it, we don't take anything from it. So what happens is the soil remains exposed to. If we are taking a crop, then that crop roots and the crops, they prevent the wind from taking away the soil. Same way, water also will be stopped from taking away the topsoil. But now when we grow nothing, the soil is exposed to wind and water. Yes, to stop that, we must grow some trees over there, so that even if the wind takes away the soil, then also it will be stopped by the wind and it will fall down over there. It will be accumulated. Construct check dams where there are streams, small streams which take away the very precious soil. So when check dams are made, and from one point to another, the water will stop over there, the sediments will settle over there, only water will go away, it will not take the sediments. Then cultivate very deeply in the field to reduce the speed of water. Whenever we confront these things, right, to control the speed of the water, we need to slow it down. So cultivate deep so that the roots, they grip the soil properly and does not allow erosion to happen. Now, what is the meaning of soil conservation? What is the meaning of soil conservation? Yes, to preserve soil. Yes, soil conservation means to prevent soil erosion and to maintain its quality. Soil conservation is directly connected to retain the soil particles of the to their original place. Soil is not the same everywhere, so soil conservation methods may differ from place to place. Different remedies, they are used at different places because soil type is different, right? So chances of flood, which changes the risk of the lives and property, so it increases the risk, because if we don't stop the flow of water, the flow of wind, then it can cause quite a lot of harm to man and material both. So now we come to the next point, that is next question, that is state the remedies to prevent soil. That is quite a long question, 3 marks, so we are not going to do that, right? That ends chapter number 8. Now we will be studying chapter number 11. Now chapter number 11 that is India, water resources. There we do not have any objectives. So objectives are not there. There are no marks for objective because no objective question is there. But there is one question of 2 marks, that is 2 marks, and one question of 3 marks, that is 3 marks. There is no map question in this from this. So we just have a total of 5 marks, right? We do not have any map question, so we do not have to prepare the map question from this chapter, but we have to prepare only two things. One is a 2-mark question and one is a 3-mark question. So that makes this chapter quite easy because we do not have to remember, because chapter number 11 is mainly about the multi-purpose resources, yes, and lots of dam are constructed, so we need to remember the rivers, we need to remember the name of the multi-purpose project, but all of that, not objective is there nor map question is there, so it is quite a lot of relief over here. So let us start with this chapter. We will just have 2 questions to study from this. One is a 2-mark question, one is a 3-mark question. So chapter number 11, water resources. Right now, water resources, first thing you have to answer is the first question. Now if there is water, there is life. Now this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so this can be a 2-mark or a 3-mark question. So you write accordingly in that material, because it does not have 9 points, at least 9 points are not there, so it cannot be asked for 3 marks, but it can certainly be asked for 2 marks. So what is, if there is water, then there is life. Water is natural as well as a limited resource. No life on earth can survive without water. So you cut down what is unnecessary, so that you reduce the size of your question, and we will have that same 7 points, 6 points, but then the size of those points will reduce and it will give us 2 marks. Third point, we would die, and of course if you don't have water, then population cannot survive and the population will exhaust and all the people will die, all the planet life, all the animal kingdom, everything, because water is not available for drinking. Then water has no alternative. Yes, that is true. Water has no alternative. Instead of if you are not eating wheat, you have rice, right? So that is an alternative. But here water does not have any alternative, and it is used in very large quantity, that too for a very large number of activities. The prosperity of each nation depends upon the quantity of water that it has for agriculture, or the amount of water that it has for industrial use, etc. Water is also required for other purposes like drinking, domestic use, or in industries also. We have to give some of this. So owing to all these reasons, we can rightly say that if water is not there, there is no life. So if there is water, there is life on this earth. It is a give reason. Next question is, state the sources of water and define them. This is a 2-mark question. Which are the sources of water? Only 3. Rainwater is the first one. Second is, when rainwater falls, it gathers on the surface, that is surface water. It seeps into the ground, that is the groundwater. 3 sources of water we have. Either it's the rain, or the surface water, or the underground water. Now what is rainwater? Right? What is rainwater? Is the, understand this, yes, rain is the original and primary source of water. That is the only way in which we receive water. If you say surface water, then surface is secondary because it receives from primary, that is rain. If you say groundwater, then groundwater is secondary because it receives from somewhere, rain. So rain is primary, whereas surface and groundwater, they are secondary. Rivers, lakes, streams, well, they are all secondary resource, and all these secondary resource, they exist because of rainfall. Now what is surface water? Whenever rain forms on the earth, yes, it gathers or it gets collected on the surface as you can say lake, pond, sea, streams, etc. All of that is surface. You can see it on the surface. What is groundwater? The rainwater seeps into the ground, water which is located under the earth and must be pumped out of the ground, yes, for using it, then it is called groundwater. So this is a 2-mark question. Write a brief introduction about groundwater is the next one. It is also hardly 4-5 points, so that is also a 2-mark question or a 3-mark question. Yes, give a brief. Now water which is located under the earth, that is groundwater, and must be pumped out of the ground. This is the definition. There is unlimited, we do not exactly know how much groundwater is there, right? Where? So we can say it is unlimited supply. We keep on getting water from the ground. The lower strata, how does it happen? The lower strata of the earth where the water collects, yes, contains rocks and soil, absorb the water and create underground water resource. The northern plains of India have about 42% of the groundwater, whereas South India, it is less. So they have to depend on the surface water. Now, water resources and their uses. Out of that, the first question, write a short note on irrigation and its sources in India, right? So write a short note on irrigation. So that is a 2-mark question. So methods of irrigation, that is another 2-mark question. South India, okay, this was of the previous one. Water resources and their uses. First one is irrigation. India is an agrarian country. We are dependent on agriculture. 84% of water in India is used for irrigation. Agriculture activities, they need a lot of water. Example can be given. If you give 1500 liters of water, then you are producing is 1 kg of wheat. For jute, sugarcane and rice, it is even more. In India, water is being used for irrigation since ancient times, that we know. People need food, right? To fulfill the irrigational needs, the famous Grand Aniket Canal was constructed above river Kaveri in 2nd century. We are talking about ancient India. In recent times, in 1882, Eastern Yamuna Canal was constructed in Uttar Pradesh during the British era, right? So this you have to mention. Now, what are the different types of methods of irrigation? Now, either you do it from the wells and tube wells, you pump out the water from the wells or the tube wells, or you take the help of the canals that are built, that are artificial ways of transporting water. Then ponds, which can be natural, which can be dug up for the purpose of collecting water. So these are the 3 ways in which we can do irrigation. Out of this, wells and tube wells, they are the first source of irrigation. Most of the people, they use wells and tube wells for irrigating their farm. If a canal is available, so canal is the second and pond is the third resource. Yes, people do not have canals usually running everywhere nearby, right? So we find them less. So there will be only few people using that. So canals are the second and ponds, they are the third. Usually everywhere in India, water doesn't, rain doesn't come in equal quantity or more quantity. So you will have ponds where there is less amount of rainfall. So that is the reason. So these are all 2 marks. Agriculture in south is done 2. This will give reason. This is a 2-mark question. Then South India has more of mountains and it is an elevated plateau, right? So what happens is usually rocks are there. So where rocks are there, what happens? Water cannot, underground water cannot be more. So they have to depend upon the surface. Surface में क्या होता है? Canals है, ponds है, yes, lakes है. So they are dependent more on them. Water crisis is a very, that is the next crisis. Water crisis is also a very serious problem in the interior of the south region where it receives less rainfall, so they have to depend on small ponds. Now, the most important question of this particular chapter is write a short note on multi-purpose project. Now, that is a 3-mark question. Yes, what first you have to make, first you have to explain what is multi-purpose. A project to utilize water resources for various, that is multi-purposes like irrigation, hydropower, then generation of water supply, drinking water, industrial purpose, flood control, lots of uses over there if we collect the water in a huge quantity, right? So that is called a multi-purpose project, or simply we call it a dam. India is blessed with several rivers, so we can have lots of multi-purpose projects. India's physiogeography is such that many rivers merge with other rivers and forming quite a complex. They empty their water into that river, and most of them empty their waters into sea. So that water gets wasted. Instead of that, we can utilize the water by constructing a dam over there, so that we can make ourselves more prosperous. Owing to innumerable advantages that India gets from these rivers, it has developed several multi-purpose projects on many rivers. These multi-purpose projects, they help India to solve lots of various problems associated with river valleys. This is just a small explanation, but it will fetch you quite a lot of marks. That is 3 complete marks. These problems, now go on to say which are these problems. They can control flood, they can prevent soil erosion, they can give you water for drinking, irrigation, industry, water provided for settlements, that is human settlement, electricity generation, internal water transportation. It can give you entertainment, wildlife production is done in development of fishery. Can so give all these examples, quite a lot of them. You easily get 3 marks. Next is state important years, that we have already done. Endless, nobody is going to ask you to make a list of the multi-purpose project, but then we have to remember them, right? Now this is what we have to remember. How can we remember this? Is multi-purpose, because MCQ is not asked, but then also we have to just go through it, right? So we can do it. Now, distribution of area under irrigation. Possibility of this question being asked is quite less, because lots of calculation is over here, but then also you should go through it, prepare the question, right? Post independence areas, area under irrigation, that has increased 4 times. Coastal areas, district of Andhra Pradesh, Delta region, Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi, all these areas, lots of places, Tamil Nadu, they are intensely under irrigation, because all the areas do not receive equal amount of rainfall. Then there are some statistics which you should write in your answer to get marks. In India, area under irrigation and irrigation facility generally vary from state to state. For example, 38% of net sown area is under irrigation. Out of the 100% sown area, only 38 is under irrigation. That means the rest of it is getting rainfall directly. Out of the total sown area, Mizoram has only 7.3%, because it is a mountainous area. Only less amount of plain land is there, so you don't need irrigation facilities over there. Whereas in Punjab, there are no hills and mountains, so there is lots of flat land, so you need more irrigation, where it is up to 90.8%. Vast difference lies between the total area of irrigation in respect to the total sown area. Yes, so it happens because we do not have the same topography everywhere. It is worth noting that more than 40% of the total area under Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, that is under irrigation, because these are quite fertile plains, but they are plain areas. So we need more irrigation methods so that we can get more number of crops, or more crops in that same area. Water crisis and water management. Please mark this as a complete 3-mark question. Yes, please go through the question. It's quite a long one, and it is equally important for a 3-mark question. We have to tell in detail about the circumstances creating the water crisis in India. Yes, we do not have to give solution, but under different circumstances, situations, what are the different ways in which water crisis is found, or it rises, constant rise in population, say demand to grow more food grains, well, the more water is used, so the amount of more water you use, that creates crisis. Rising population, increasing urbanization, change in lifestyle, industrialization, these are the few of the major one, right? Reason for water crisis, that is a 2-mark separate question. It is part of that 3-mark, but here it can be asked, who give the reasons for water crisis. Again, the same thing is there, right? Management and conservation of water resources, that is the next question. That is hardly a 2-mark question, you can still remember it. What is watershed is the next one, and that is a complete 3-mark question. What is watershed? Watershed development is, in a nutshell, if you put it, yes, you got to read it, understand it, memorize it, and then write it. But what is watershed program? There are lots of tributaries who dump their water, which dump their water in the main river, right? So the main river, it receives lots of water from the tributaries, and it goes forward and dumps that water in the sea. We do not have any use of that water, because it gets dumped into the sea. So we need some ways in which we can make use of the water which is flowing down from the tributaries, from the rain, yes, tributaries down, and flowing to the sea. We need to stop it so that it can seep under the ground and it can increase the groundwater level, which we can use in many ways. So whatever we do to stop that rainwater from flowing away, that is called watershed area. The watershed area is the basin of the tributary river. Due to rain, the water flows to the tributary and the tributary meets the main river. The main river goes and dumps its water in the lake or sea, which is called whole of that area, particular lake, or that is called a watershed. Watershed development includes program like preservation of soil and humidity, water conservation, tree plantation. More trees you grow, water will go down more. Forestation, horticulture, development of pastures, all these things, they stop the water, rainwater, and allow it to go into the, yeah. Next question is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a complete 3-mark question. It's very, very important. What is rain harvesting? That is a technique for conservation of water. It is done to increase the groundwater. Yes, how is rainwater harvesting done? We have terraces on the houses, yes, where rainwater gets collected, right, and flows out, right, and it is thrown on the ground and it just flows down the drain. Instead of that, we can collect it and allow that rainwater, collected rainwater on the terrace, to directly empty in the underground tank that we have, or for recharging wells, tube wells, all those things. So we are harvesting the water. That is called water harvesting. We can dig up lots of holes, ditches, or ponds, so that when rain happens, the pond is filled with water. Slowly it drips in the ground and the underground water level increases. So by rain harvesting, we are basically trying to stop the rainwater from flowing away and draining away. That is called rainwater, right? Remedies to conserve water. That is a 3-mark question. Lots of points are there. What are the remedies? What are the cure for water management and water conservation? Yes, all the suggestions and what we should do, what the government is doing, all that thing is asked in detail over there. That is a 3-mark question. Please go through it. Then there would be an acute shortage of potable drinking water in the future. That is also a 3-mark question. Yes, because the way we are using it and wasting the precious drinking water, etc., clean drinking water will not be available to us in the future unless and until we don't rain harvest, we do not have more multi-purpose project. We collect water, allows it to go under the ground, has sufficient underground water, surface water, so that these are all the ways in which we constantly have water. If we keep on using it in that way, in the way that we are using, and if we do not follow the methods of conservation on, then water will simply go and meet the sea and it will become salty. It will be of no use to us. So these are the things that you need to explain over there. One of the last question is, proper irrigation system is required in India. Yes, because India is an agrarian country, it is totally dependent on monsoon. So unless we don't do something to collect that monsoon water, which otherwise just flows and erodes the land and takes away all the silt and dumps it in the sea, unless we don't do something to stop it, it's of no use. So a proper irrigation system ensures that the farmers, they will get water throughout the year, and they can take a crop if the soil fertility is good, if they can use lots of fertilizers, etc. Then because in India rain is also irregular and uncertain, so that these water which we have, the water that we have collected, will work in times of difficulties or in times of dry season. So a proper irrigation system is required. Yes, so this completes our chapter number 11 also. Thank you, students.